Hi, I'm Darren Mueller, head softball coach at North Dakota State University. We're going to cover the techniques to help you utilize the short game to help you win games. To win ball games, we need to score runs. We cannot always count on the big home runs to win those. We're going to show you some ways to get those runs across and show you some different techniques to utilize for base running. As a coach, you need to get the players to believe in the system. The players want to see the results of using the short game and see how well it will benefit them in scoring runs. We need to teach them the components of the short game, when to use it, why to use it, and how to use it. As coaches, we need to know the strengths and weaknesses of our opponents as well as our players. This knowledge will increase our ability to be successful. We want to prepare our players for every situation in a game by utilizing them in practice. The first thing we're going to go over today are bunting techniques. Nikki is going to help us out with our bunting today. We're going to go over each technique, the fundamentals of each one, and why we do each bunt. The first bunt we're going to do is a sacrifice bunt. There's two different styles for the sacrifice bunt we're going to work on. The first one, we're just going to have her pivot her feet. She's going to bring her hand up on the bat. She's going to square around. She's going to keep the bat angle at a nice angle here. We don't want to have it flat. If we get it flat, the ball's going to come off the bat. We're going to foul tip it. And also, if you set with a flat bat here, we have a tendency to have our bat head drop down and the ball's going to pass by the bat for a strike. So she has a great angle right here for the bat. We also want to give the ball, when it's coming in, a little bit more surface area to hit the bat. You notice how she has her back foot is pivoted, her back knee is pointed towards the pitcher, her front leg is pointed towards the shortstop. She has a nice position here with her arms. They're not hyperextended. She has a nice bend here. We want to bring her elbows in just a little bit here, just get a little bit more secure on our bunting. So we don't want to have it too far out. If we get too far out, then the bat head starts going around different places. We want to make sure we have it nice and secure while we're doing our bunts. We prefer this style for the bunting. We feel that if it comes on the pivot, if you're on the balls of your feet and you can pivot this way, just in case the ball happens to come inside, she can back up, bring the bat back, and get back into position and move out of the way. Now she's going to bring her left foot forward here. She's going to cover the whole part of the plate again. Now you see the bat angle is the same. Now she's also getting ready to bunt the ball. We're going to move her hands in just a little bit to cover the plate. When you're doing the bunt, you want to make sure you get as close as you can to the plate without getting out of the batter's box. As she's covering the plate, she has the bat angle coming down. She doesn't want to let the bat head drop down. Has a good surface area with the bat to bunt the ball. This is another style to do for sacrifice bunting. One thing I do not like about this way is if it comes in, it's a little bit tougher for an inside pitch, an inside rise ball that's coming in on you to back away. You've already kind of set your body in this position. Now the ball's coming in, sometimes you can fall back on your heels and you're just going to fall backwards instead of falling off to the side. So I prefer to have players when we bunt to do the pivoting sacrifice bunt. We'll go back to that again. So when you pivot around, that way if a pitch does happen to come in, she can back away and get out of the way of the ball. You want to do sacrifice bunts when there's nobody out. You don't really want to give up an out if you have one out. Sometimes you might want to do that if it's late in the game or certain situations. But preferably with the sacrifice bunt, you're going to bunt with a runner on first base and nobody out. You may see times where there's one out and a person on first base and they will bunt. There also is a late sacrifice bunt, and that's something that's just to catch the defense off guard. A lot of times, and you don't see it a whole lot, but with two strikes, if you have a really good bunter up the bat, you might want to have them lay a bunt down with no outs and two strikes to see if they can put the ball in play. It kind of catches the defense off guard. I'm not recommending you to do that all the time because you don't want to foul that ball off and get the third strike. But if you have somebody that's a very strong bunter, they can bunt that ball, put it in play, it catches the defense back, and you might perhaps get this hitter on first base. The next bunt we're going to go over is the push bunt. The push bunt we're going to get in sacrifice bunt position. We have the same fundamentals we would do for a sacrifice bunt. Our goal here is to push the ball into the alleys between third base and the pitcher and between first base and the pitcher. What we're trying to do, as the corners might be charging in, we want to push the ball and bunt the ball past the charging corners and hopefully catch them off guard and get on base. This is an excellent bunt. when they're coming in, it's a lot of times you'll get the first baseman that will charge in, the second baseman is going to be covering first base, and you might catch them off guard and bunt the ball right between them and be able to get on base. What you want to do fundamentally for the push bunt is you're getting a nice bunting position. You can see she squared around, she pivoted, she's got a great bat angle here. As the ball is coming in, she's going to slightly just push the ball in the alleys between the pitcher and third, or for a right-handed batter, if you can, between the pitcher and first base. So the ball will be coming in and just kind of give a slight little push, just like that, nice and gentle. You don't want to go too hard and really hyperextend your arms, because that's difficult to do with the ball coming in and you're trying to make contact. You just want to have nice control of the bat, push the ball right between in those alleys, and catch the defense off guard. The next fundamental we're going to cover is the slap. Now this is going to be different for a left-handed batter compared to a right-handed batter. A left-handed batter, we have a couple of options we can do, and the first one will probably, what you're going to see more out of a left-handed batter, is Nikki's going to get in a regular slapping. You're probably going to have a lot of slap hitters up to bat. And as a defense, you're not going to be able to know what they're doing. You want to watch their hands on the bat, see if they're giving away what they're doing. As a hitter, you want to keep your hands the same as you would if you're going to swing away, if you're going to drag bunt, or if you're going to slap the ball. But as you see, she's in a nice athletic position here, getting ready to hit. What she's going to do is she's going to slap the ball. She's going to run towards the pitcher as the ball's coming in. She's going to try to slap the ball between third base and the pitcher, going towards having her momentum take her towards first base. So the ball will be coming in. She's going to have her front foot go back. She's going to cross over, slap the ball, and it's going to go hopefully between the pitcher and third base. That's one way where you might look out for the slap on the short game. The next thing you might do, we'll have you come over to the right-handed side here, Nikki. For a right-handed batter, it might vary and be a little bit different. Now what she's going to do is she's going to square around to bunt. And as you see, she squares around to bunt. Right before the pitcher is going to release the ball, she's going to square around. She's going to bring the bat back, slides her hands there, and now she's going to slap at the ball and try to hit the ball, hopefully between third base and the pitcher, between the pitcher and first base. What we're trying to do is we're trying to hit the ball on the ground. We don't want to hit a pop fly. We're not trying to hit a home run. We're not even trying to really hit line drives. Our goal is to put the ball in play, catch the defense off guard by them moving around. Hopefully they might be coming in on the corners because they're getting prepared for a sacrifice bunt, and to catch them off guard. So she's going to just turn around, she's going to do the bunt, pull back, and slap. One thing you want to do here is make sure now you pivot your back foot. And you want to make sure you just slide this hand up. So as you do this, she's going to turn around to bunt. She's going to bunt here. As she's going back, she's going to bring back. This hand's going to slide up to give her a little bit more control of the bat. As she's coming down here, she's going to slap the ball down and pivot her back foot. So we'll just try it one more time here. We're just going to turn. She's going to pivot and slap down. And our goal is to slap the ball on the ground, catch the defense off guard. Those are the two different ways that you're going to work on the slap. We like to call it the slap. There's some other different variations you might hear from the right-hand side. But you have the left-handed slap, where you're going to run towards the pitcher, have your momentum take you towards first base, and the right-handed slap, where you're going to fake the bunt, pull back, and slap the ball on the ground to catch the defense off guard. The next bunt we're going to go over is a sneaky bunt. This is for the right-handed batter to possibly catch the defense off guard. A left-handed batter will do a drag bunt, and we'll go over that as well. For the right-handed batter, we're just going to get in your position to hit, nice athletic position. You're ready to hit. But as the ball's coming in, we want to make sure if the defense is playing back in the corners, now we start bringing our hand here, bring our hand on the bat as we start going towards first base. And you'll notice how I'm almost like I'm pushing off my left foot and start running towards first base as much as possible. I want to catch that ball on the bat, hit it, and start to run towards first base. So just get in your position, slide the hand down, catch the ball, go towards first base. If you do it really, I'll just kind of quicken up a little bit here. It'll be quick, go towards first base. For the left-handed batter, it'll be more of a drag bunt you're going to do. You're getting your batter's box, get a nice position here. It's a lot like a slap. You're going to bring your foot back, go forward, drag, hit the ball, and try almost a drag bunt towards first base. If it's an outside pitch, we want to be able to go, bunt the ball that direction, and go towards first. If it's the inside pitch, we want to bring the ball with us, and as we do, we're almost going to take this hand and bring the hand inside and carry the ball with us to first base. So it's tough to determine because you don't have a lot of time to react to the ball coming in, and you don't know where it's going to go. But if you can do that quickly, and you come, and I can bring the ball with me and carry it with me to first base, it gets my momentum going towards first base. It catches the defense off guard because now it's become pretty much a foot race between myself and the first baseman who might be getting the ball either throwing it to second base, or the catcher has to get out of their stance, get over to first base, and the first baseman has to react and get back to first, or the second baseman has to cover. So one way to do it is make sure you just bring your hands up, make sure you have good control of the bat. You always want to make sure you pinch the bat here, or you want to slide your hands up, whatever you feel more comfortable with, so you get good control of the bat. For an outside pitch, just let the bat head go towards third base. If you're going to go towards first base, just kind of bring this hand in, carry it with you. This hand is going to stay the same. All you're doing is just shifting this, almost like shifting a car, just kind of pulling it back and bringing this with you. For the right-handed one, we'll go over one more time. Just have it here. You're going to pull this back. You can kind of do the same thing of where you want to shift. This left hand is always going to control of which way the bat is going to go, and the right one's always going to control on which way of controlling the bat and making sure that you don't lose control of the bat head, make sure it doesn't go down. So it's kind of shifting and controlling with the bunt. And that's the sneaky bunt and the drag bunt. The next part of the short game that you might want to work on is we have different signs for different plays. One of the plays we have is the bunt, slap, bunt. What you're going to do is you're going to get in your stance, and the hitter's going to get in their stance. They're going to square around to show a bunt. They might come back and get the defense, think that they're going to slap, and then they're going to bunt the ball again. Kind of catch the defense off guard, because a lot of times with defenses, they're going to see this early bunt, and they're going to see it pull back. They're going to know the slap is coming. They might stop. You can pull back again. You can bunt the ball. Kind of catches the defense on their heels a little bit. They don't know which way they're going to go, and you can catch them off guard and hopefully get to first base. It's good for your replacement for a sacrifice bunt if possible. You really don't want to do it to get on base, because a lot of times you don't have time to react and get your momentum going, but it's going to be used in place of a sacrifice bunt. The next play we have is a swing and miss. It's another play we have where the batter's going to be up. They're going to get a sign from the third base coach. They're going to get in their stance. The ball's coming. It's kind of used instead of a hit and run. We're going to swing. We're just going to miss the ball on purpose. You want the catcher, hopefully to distract the catcher. They're going to throw the ball down to second base. Hopefully they don't get the run that we're going. It's in replace of a hit and run. We're just trying to distract the defense by thinking we're going to swing at the ball, but we're purposely trying to miss the ball to distract the catcher and distract the defense. Another variation of this would be the slapping swing and miss. We're still going to get in our position. We're going to square around to bunt, bring back like we're going to slap, swing and miss, also distract the defense, distract the catcher, hopefully get that runner over to second base in replace of doing a sacrifice bunt, and just to distract the defense and not letting them know what we're going to be doing each time. Another play we have is a fake bunt steal. As you'll be up to bat, you're going to square around with a fake bunt steal. You're going to get in that angle. The runner's going to be going. They know it's a steal. You're going to fake the bunt. You're squared around. You're going to pull back. Hopefully the catcher distracts the catcher a little bit. Before they make that throw to second base, we can get that runner over to second base from first. One thing you want to do with the fake bunt steal is you want to get the bat and you want to find out where the catcher's eyes are. If they're squatting down and we know the catcher's eyes are at this height, I want to square around and I want to get the bat there to kind of blind the catcher as long as possible and wait till the last second, pull back. That way, if you have the bat in the sight of your eyes, it's difficult to see where the pitch is at. If it's not a good rise or if it's not a good drop or another pitch, that distracts them a little bit. They might hit off their glove. It might be a pass ball. It gives the opportunity for the runner to get to third base, or also just stops the attempt from the catcher to make a throw to second base. That's the fake bunt steal. So make sure you really get down, block the catcher's vision if you possibly can, and pull back. And just to go over the bunts one more time here to make sure we have the proper technique. When you square around for a sacrifice bunt, there's two different styles. We have the style where you bring your left foot back and you cover the plate. This allows you to cover the plate, gives you good vision with the pitcher. You can cover the whole plate when you're bunting the ball. Like I said, this is the style that we probably don't use as much because if the ball happens to come inside, we only have a little bit way to back off. We kind of prefer a little bit more, I guess, the pivoting style is I want to make sure I'm up in the batter's box for both bunts. I'm going to square around, have a good bat angle right here. Now remember, I'm going to just have a nice little, not too tight of a grip, but just a very firm grip on the bat right here. This hand, my left hand, is going to control the direction I'm going to bunt the ball. This one's going to support the bat angle. You know, if I have to go down, I'm going to bend my knees to bunt the ball. I don't want to have to go and catch the ball and use my hands to bunt the ball. Only bunt the ball from as low as you can go to as high as you can go. So if this is as high as I can get and as low as I can get, this is going to be my strike zone right here. I only want to bunt the balls in the strike zone. I don't want to have to go up for a ball. or go after ball this way, just the balls that are in the strike zone that I want to bunt. The slap will be the same here. We're just going to square around, bring it back, slide this hand up, swing down at the ball, try to hit a ground ball, catch the defense off guard if they're charging in from the corners. You want to hit a ground ball between third and the pitcher, or between the pitcher and first base if possible. Remember, we're not trying to hit home runs. We're not trying to hit line drives. We just want to put the ball in play, put pressure on the defense. For the left-handed slap, we're going to be back. We're going to bring the front foot back. We're going to stride over, get the shoulder in. We're going to slap the ball that direction, put the ball on the ground, hopefully towards the shortstop area. For the drag bunt, same as the slap, bring this foot back, bring the bat head up. You can control the direction you're going for an outside pitch here. Inside, bring this right hand, bring it in, take it with you down to first base. For the sneaky bunt, right-handed batter, we want to get our momentum going towards the first base, slide the hand up, start going towards first, bunt the ball, and run towards first base. For the fake bunt steal, make sure you get down, show the bunt, block the catcher's vision as much as possible, pull the bat back as long as you can to distract the catcher, also distract the defense, make them think that you're bunting the ball. We also have the bunt, pull back for the slap, have the bunt again, bunt the ball, that will catch the defense off guard. They might come in for the bunt, stop for the slap, then all of a sudden you bunt the ball, it catches them off guard again. And the last one is the fake, the bunt, you do the slap, you're going to swing and miss with the slap, that catches the defense off guard. They don't know if you're going to slap the ball. If we have a run on first base, it's a good one to catch them off guard, get a stolen base with second. Also, if you have a runner on second base, to steal third base. And those are the bunting and slapping plays for the short game. One thing I have noticed in many teams is they run the bases very poorly. If you want to score more runs, your players must know how to run the bases. Start each practice or end each practice with some base running techniques. Not all players can be blessed with great speed, but they can become a lot smarter on the base pass, which makes your teams a lot better. The first thing we're going to go over is going through first base. Our runner's going to come, and we'll have Nikki just do a little slow little walk here. As you run towards first base, we want to make sure you touch the outside part of the base. You can use your left foot or your right foot, whatever you feel more comfortable with. But you want to touch the outside part of the base as you're running. After you get done, you want to come and you want to stop as quick as you possibly can before hitting the outfield grass. If you go too far into the outfield grass, if a ball gets past the first baseman, you've reacted too late, and you might not be able to get to second base. We want to have them run, do kind of a quick little stop, get ready, get in position, go back. You don't want to turn your body and commit towards second base because they can come over, they can tag you, and you're out. But you want to come over, stop as quick as you can, make sure you just kind of glance, listen to the first base coach, see if there's a ball that's gotten by the first baseman, react if you can to go to first base. So now we'll have Nikki, we'll just have you do a couple of runs here. We'll watch what she does on these runs. Very good. Just like that, see? She just kind of hit the outside part of the base and she stopped. We'll have you do it again. There you go. One thing on the stop now, you want to make sure she stops so she gets as quick as she can to make sure she stops like she's doing. So we'll do a few more. And run through you always want to run through the base hard before you begin here. Is if she doesn't stutter step, you see a lot of people they'll run and they'll kind of stutter step before they hit the base. You want to try to get your strides going as quick as you can, but you want to make sure you have a controlled run too. If you stutter step, there's nothing wrong with it right now, but we have to work on getting better, making sure you hit the base in stride and stopping. That's something, if you do have a stutter step, concentrate on that, have your coach help you out, make sure you work everything going in stride. There you go, good. See, she stops, she wants to look towards where the react where the ball's at, if it gets by the first baseman, and react and go towards second base if possible. And that's what we want to do if we run through first base. The next thing we're going to go over is rounding first base. We're just going to walk through this again. As you're running, we'll have you start, you're coming from home plate. You see there's a baseline here. You want to start rounding the base as you get probably about halfway to maybe about 2/3 of the way to first base. You're running down, you're going to stay on the outside part of the base. As you run, you want if you can, you want to have your right foot touch the inside part of first base. She's going to round the base, and now she's going to stop. We're not trying to get to second base at this time. She's going to stop right here on the balls of her feet, getting ready position, just because in case the ball there's a first and third situation, or if the ball gets away, she's on the balls of her feet. She can react and go to second base quickly, or if there's a snap throw back to first base, her momentum can take her back to first. When you're coming off the base, we mentioned hitting the inside part of the base, you also want to use that to push off and go towards second base. So it's kind of a starter's block for you just as much as it is for touching the base. So come around, push off this base, and go towards second. For now, we're just going to have her stop and get the stats first base. Very good. Notice how she touches the inside part of the base, and she gets in ready position right here. We'll do it again. She's running around, rounds the base, touch the inside part. Very good. Make sure she gets in the balls of her feet, and she's in ready position. Really watch how she pushes off when she touches the inside part of the corner, and she goes towards second base here. You also will notice here, as she's coming here, you can see that she's on the outside part of the chalk line, and she's coming around here, and she's running first base. If you get inside the chalk line and hit the ball to the catcher, if you get inside the baseline and the ball hits you, you're going to be out. So you want to make sure you stay outside the chalk line, round the base, push off towards second base. Very good. That's what we want to work on for running the base. Like we mentioned, not everybody's going to be quick, but if you can even push off and get used to some of these techniques just at first base, it's going to make your team smarter and be able to be a little bit more aggressive on the base paths. The next thing we're going to work on is getting a lead off the first base. There's 3 different styles that we can do for getting a lead off the base. The first one is going to be the baseball start, and we'll have you get in position here. And with the baseball start, you'll notice she's got to lead off like a baseball player. You have to keep your foot on the base. You can't get off the base like in baseball. But now she's got a nice athletic position. She's ready to push off. As the pitcher releases the ball, she can push off, she can take off, pushes off with that back foot, and goes towards second base. You cannot leave the base until the ball releases the pitcher's hand. So in practice, we do a lot of work where we'll have a pitcher on the pitcher's mound, reacting to the ball, getting a good jump off the base. So let's have you do a few. Megan, I just want to do a few pitchers here. Nikki will go push off the base here. Good. There you go. Good. One more time. Get a good push off that base with that foot. Right in the ball, release her hand. Good. The next start we're going to do is a sprinter start. We're going to be a lot like a track athlete we do in getting out of the blocks. She's going to position her body just a little bit differently, whereas the baseball one, she was kind of more squared up. Now she's getting ready to push off with her back leg and go towards second base. It depends on, I guess, how comfortable you are with what leg you want to go. Notice how she has her left leg back. If you want to have your right leg back, that's fine too. Whatever you feel more comfortable with. When you're in position though, one thing you want to do is you want to take this left arm and raise it up with the opposite arm there. It's just like a sprinter would do. So if I'm going to take off like this, I'm pushing off, and it gives me that quick burst and that quick push to push off. If we start with the same arm and the same leg out there, it's a little bit tougher for us to get that momentum going because we're not going to run with our right leg and our right arm together. So as she takes off from the base, this arm's going to push off as you push off that way. Yep, just like that. So you want to get in that, make sure when you're in the sprinter position, that's the position you're going to be in. Now she's going to push off, go towards second base, and just kind of stop. You're going to react. Remember, you can't take off until the ball is released from the pitcher's hand. So now Megan will do it again. There you go. Good. Get that really good push off the base when you're doing this. Keep your arms even. There you go. Good. Do it one more time. There you go. Good. You really get a good hard push off the base. If you get a good hard push off the base, a lot of times the defense might think you're stealing, especially from first base. You want to fake that. Even if you're not going to be stealing the base, you really want to push off hard. Gets the catcher flustered sometimes. The defense might be moving around, and as you hit the ball, you might catch the defense out of position. The final part of getting a lead off the base is the rocker step. This is the one I prefer to have our players do, and it gets your momentum going towards second base a little quicker. What you're going to do is you're going to get in position on the base, and you notice how her back leg is off the base a little bit, and she's getting ready to push off with her front leg. She also has her left leg forward, her right arm up, ready to push off as she gets that jump. With a rocker step, you can almost take off a little bit early with this back leg because you can't take off the base until the ball is released in the pitcher's hand. But if you push off a little bit early, you can get that push. This back leg wants to come off as soon as the ball releases the pitcher's hand, and it gets your momentum going towards second base. So Megan, let's have you do a few here. Very good, Nikki. There you go. See how she gets that really good push coming off the base here. As soon as that ball releases from the hand there. She takes off. Good. We'll try it again here and see how that back leg is going. It's really pushing off, and right when the pitcher probably has her hand about here, and you have to get your timing down each time. But she has good timing here with the pitcher getting releasing the ball. Good job. We'll do one more here. So those are the three different types of getting a lead off the base. You have the baseball lead, you have the sprinter, and you have the rocker step. Like I said, I prefer the rocker step. It gets your momentum going in the right direction and really gets your body going towards the next base. Some of the strategies of trying to get people to score runs and using the short game is when you have a runner on first base and nobody out. So we're having Nikki just be on first base and kind of talk about some of the things we can do. A few things you want to know as a coach is you want to make sure you know how many outs there are. Depends on the situation. If you have nobody out, this might be a good time to use a sacrifice. If you have one out, maybe you don't want to go with a sacrifice. You want to go with a hit and run. You want to have a straight steal. Some of the other plays we talked about earlier. But with first base here, really make sure this runner gets a good hard push every time we come off. Some of the other things to consider is you want to know the strengths and weaknesses of the outfield and the infield. If the outfield is playing really deep and have some strong arms, that's something to take into consideration. If the infield, you want to know if they're playing back or what kind of positioning the defense has, how strong their arms are, how good their foot speed is. There's a lot of considerations you have to take in as a coach when you have a runner on first base. When we talked about getting the jumps here, if your runner gets a jump, we'll have you just take a good jump off here, Nikki. To get off the base here, now you have to also know, does the catcher have a strong arm? Are they able to pick this runner off? Has she gotten too far off the base? You have to watch the second baseman as the first base coach to see if they come around for a pickoff, because the runner is going to watch the first baseman. They're going to know where the first baseman's standing, and that's the distance they want to come off the base. But we have to make sure we know where the second baseman is the whole time. That way we're prepared in case there's a pickoff attempt at first base. One more thing you want to think about too at first base is when you're watching, is what are the pitchers is throwing? Do they have a changeup? Do they have a lot of rise ball pitchers? What kind of pitch is their predominant pitch that they're throwing? If you have a pitcher that throws a lot of changeups, that's a good time for you to possibly steal a base. Maybe you can lay a bunt down on a changeup a lot better than a rise ball or a drop ball. But as a coach, you have to think of those situations that you want to do with a runner on first base and nobody out or possibly one out. Also, when you're on first base, you want to know what the outfield is capable of doing. If Nikki gets a jump off first base right here and take a jump off the base, and there's a fly ball to the outfield, now what we want to do is we want her to turn around and watch the play out there. You notice how she does that? If they catch the ball in center field or left field or right field, and she has to get back to the base, she can turn and come back towards first base. Now she gets a jump off the base, and let's do it again, and just look towards the pitcher here. And now let's say there's a ball hit out in the outfield now, and she just turns her head and looks that direction. Well, now she's got her head going this direction. It's tougher for you to turn and go this way. Once you commit with your head, that's the direction that you want to start running to. So she gets turned there, and even if she turns her body just a little bit, and she starts getting turned and kind of looking for the ball and gets lost, well, now that gets her all turned around as a base runner. You want to make sure that she turns around, just kind of pivot around, just like that. Watch the play out in the outfield and get back to first base if you need to get back to the base. Remember, one thing about base running, thank you, as you take off and you're running, as soon as you turn your head, that's the direction that you're probably going to run. It's tough to turn your head, then all of a sudden turn around and go towards the next base. So as a defensive player, you can always tell on a player, when they commit their head to that direction, that's the direction they're going to run. Now we're going to talk about a second base. We're just going to concentrate here is if you have a runner on second base with nobody out, one out, or two outs, of what we can do at second base. We're going to have a runner on second base. She's going to get in her position, rocker position. She's going to get a jump off second base. At second base, you notice you can get a lot bigger lead than you can at first base. You know she's off pretty good, probably maybe about 10 feet just about off second base. As a runner on second base, you're going to be able to see where the second baseman is this whole time because they're going to be over here in your peripheral vision. The third base coach is going to be able to see where the shortstop is, but you also have a good sense of where they're at by getting that big lead, and you can tell and listen to their footwork if they're going to come around you and get to second base to pick you off. Second base is probably the easiest base to get a lead off of, and third base will be the easiest base to steal. Because as you notice, I'll have you do it again here, Nikki. As you're getting a jump off the base, you're going to wind with the pitcher's motion. The pitcher's going to throw. She's going to get a good jump off the base. You get as far as you possibly can. And one thing we try to have our players do is try to stretch it as far as you can. If you know where everybody's positioned, you can make that commitment and get a little bit further out. The catcher has a longer throw to try to pick you off, and possibly If they're trying to come around you at the shortstop, if you get a big enough lead, you can go towards third base, because then you're going to get either caught in a rundown or you're committed going to the next base. So once you get a jump off second base, you want to be as aggressive as you possibly can be, because it's a lot easier to steal third base than it is to steal second base. You also have the shortstop is going to cover third base many times on the steal, because the third baseman might be up for a bunt, or they're going to be playing up to take away some other plays. So if you catch the shortstop napping, you can get a good jump off second base. Gets to turn into a foot race between you and the shortstop of getting towards third base. So you really want to take a nice, aggressive, good hard jump off of second base. Also on second base, I'll have you go back here, is if you notice, she gets a really good jump. If we have a ground ball, and we always tell our players, once you get to second base, look in the outfield and see where they're positioned. If you know that the outfielders are positioned deep, well then you know any kind of little flare, little fly ball over the shortstop or second baseman's head, over your head at second base, you're going to score on those, because they're not going to come in and catch the ball. Also on a ground ball, if you're going to jump off second base and you stop right here, if she gets a ground ball in front of her, she doesn't want to go to third base. She wants to make sure she goes back, because the shortstop can make the play. Any ball that's a ground ball behind her, she wants to get to third base and she can possibly score. So when you're at second base, you want to know where the outfield's position, because you want to be able to make some decisions on where they're positioned, how hard the ball's hit, and what you can do to get to the next base. Also on ground balls, you want to make sure that you're smart to know how to get to the next base without getting yourself caught in a pickle, or else get picked off second base. So we teach our base runners, make sure you're really smart, especially on second base, because now you're in scoring position. It's easier for you to score. They have to make a quick, accurate throw to third base or a quick, accurate throw to home plate to get you out. But you have to be very smart, but you also be very aggressive when you're on second base. Now we're going to talk about runners on second and third. What we want to concentrate here is making sure they get a good jump off the base. When you're at third base, you really want to make sure you get a good jump, but you want to stay in foul territory. In case you get hit by the ball, then you won't be called out. Now, with any number of outs, we're going to get a good jump off the base. So as soon as the ball's released, the pitcher's going to go. He's going to get up off the base. You notice at second, we have a really good hard lead. At third base, we got a good lead there. We're going to read the third baseman, make sure we don't get too far off, because we don't want to get picked off third base. Same thing we talked about with the runner on second, is we want our second baseman, person on second base, to know where the outfield's playing. When you're at third, the third base coach is going to talk to you. You do not want to take off with any ball in the air with less than 2 outs. You want to make sure, with less than 3 outs. Because if you have 2 outs or 1 out or nobody out, you want to be able to tag up and get to home plate. If you have 3 outs, as soon as that ball's hit, the person on third base, they're going to take off. Now I'll have you guys go back to the base here again. You also have to be very smart on what the play is going to be. If we have nobody out or 1 out, and we have a ground ball, we want to see if the infield is playing in, if they're playing deep, before we make any decisions on what the third baseman, the person on third is going to do, and what the person on second is going to do. The person on second has to read the person on third base and the third base coach to know what they're doing. If we have a fly ball to the outfield, and we're ready to tag up here, and this person is not ready to tag up, we got to make sure that this person knows what's going on. So we really have to communicate as much as we can. We also don't want to have the person on second base tag up for the next base and the person on third base not tag up. So both have to be on the same page. You got to communicate with the third base coach. Make sure you read the signs, know what's going on, pay attention to what the defense is doing. So with second and third, there's a lot of different options. You don't always have to score if there's 0 outs or 1 out or 2 outs, because the next batter is going to come up. Depends on the situation. It's a good chance to do some squeeze, maybe some sacrifice bunts, some slap. You can do a lot of different things, variations with a person up the bat too. So you ought to be very smart as a coach, knowing what the situation is, how many outs there are, what inning it is, what the score is, who's up to bat. A lot of those things are going to come into factor, especially when you get runners in scoring position. You want to take advantage of that and not lose that opportunity to score some runs. Now with runners in first and third, this is a great position to be in as a coach, because you really want to take advantage of getting this person on first base to second base. We also want to try score that person on third base. It's a situation where, again, you want to know what the speed of your runners are, look at the defense, see what they're giving you. If they're playing in, you really want to make sure they don't do too much of a bunt, because if the infield's playing in, they're going to try to take away the squeeze play. You also have to see what the second baseman and the shortstop are going to do, because they're going to probably come over and cross. A lot of times the second baseman is going to cut off the throw down to second base, try to get that runner at third base thrown out at third, or possibly at home if they're stealing. But we also want to get this person on first base to second base. So we want to make sure we get a good jump again. So we're going to get a good jump off the base. Another position. Now we got this person off first base. He's got a really good jump. One of the plays we can have is if we try to get picked off here, she can get caught in the rundown between first and second, and the person on third has to react on how the runners are going between first and second, and we can score that run. It's also a very good situation if we want to drop down a squeeze bunt. We can bunt the ball. The runner on third is going to score. Now the runner on first base, they have to be very smart and read the play that's going on. If I'm on first base, I want to react to what the play is given to me once the ball is put in play. If it's a fly ball, I have to react to make sure I get to the base. If it's a squeeze like we mentioned, maybe I can get to third base on this. So the person at first base is very important because they can take advantage of what the defense is giving to them and possibly gain an extra base. They might even score many times on a lot of missed throws. You also have to make sure that your person at the bat, they're very smart as well of what the play is giving to them. They might want to run through the first base, but they could possibly react, get to the next base, take advantage of a lot of the throws and a lot of things that are going on defensively. So with the first and third situation, as a coach, you really have to know what's going on, know your team, know the other team's strengths and weaknesses, make sure you take what the defense is giving to you, but also be very aggressive and make sure they make smart plays and that your team practices a first and third situation quite a bit in practice so they know what's going to go on and they get used to every single situation that could possibly happen in a game. Now with the runner on third base, we want to make sure the third base coach will be over here and the runner on third base is going to get a good jump. As she gets a good jump off the base and the pitcher releases the ball, so just kind of get a jump off here. Now we want to make sure we read the third baseman. If the third baseman is playing in close, we don't want to get as far. If they're playing up really close to take away the bunt, we want to make sure we read that third baseman and get a good jump off the base. The third base coach is going to read the shortstop. He's going to come over possibly for a pickoff play and tell that person to come back and react. Now when you're at third base, notice how Nikki's in foul territory here. You want to make sure you stay in foul territory and get a jump again here, Nikki. Just like that, because if we get in fair territory and we're hit by the ball, we're going to be called out. So now if she happens to get hit by a ball, if it hits her, it's just going to be a foul ball and she's out of play. But she also has a good jump off the base. If a ball's hit in the outfield, I'll have you go back to the base. Now she's going to do, as a third base coach, you're going to tell your players the situation and what's going on and what you want them to do. A lot of times now with the fly ball in the outfield, we want them to try to tag up and score a run. You're going to get a good jump off the base as the ball is released in the pitcher's hands, but you have to react back quick to the base and tag up. And what we want them to do is she's going to come back, touch the base with her, she's going to get a good jump, come back and just touch the base with her foot and push off and score. So just get a good jump off the base. Okay, now back, come back, touch the base and then go. And then she's going to take off. That's what we want to do for tagging up. We want to make sure we get a good hard push off the base, come back, touch the base, and go. Listen to the third base coach in this situation because that's who's going to give you the key. We don't want to have you come back and get in the position here again, Nikki. Now, actually, you're just going to tag up. She's just going to get ready to tag up here. Tagging up, we like to have our players listen to the voice of the coach and tell them when to go. If she turns her head and looks that direction, like we talked about earlier, once you turn your head, you have to turn your body and commit yourself to that direction. She's going to slow herself up just a little bit as a start. So if she looks in the outfield, it's going to slow her up just a little bit. But just have her look straight ahead, and the coach will react, and they'll tell them when to go, and they'll get a good push off, and they'll score. That's what we want to do for tagging up. We'll have you get in your other position here. Also at third base, depends on the situation and what the defense is giving to you about reacting and scoring a run. Because obviously now we're as close as we possibly can get to scoring a run on the bases. Look and see what the defense is giving to you, know the number of outs, know how quick your runner is that's at third base before you send them to score the runs there. For instance, we might have the runner on third base and it might be nobody out and it might be a tie game early in the game. We don't need this runner to score right away. We can have her stay there, see what the next person up to bat is going to do, and possibly we can get that runner in. If it's a place where the defense is playing back, we might want to tell that runner, on contact, we're going to score and we're going to try to get in and score a run as quick as possible. You don't know if it's going to be a weak ground ball, a hard hit ground ball, a fly ball, or a line drive. But this person at third base has to be very aware and react to the play that's given to him. On a line drive, you're going to get a good jump and get back. On a weak ground ball, you might want to score. On a medium to hard hit ground ball, it's up to the coach to talk to the third base person, the person at third base. If they want to score, if they want them to stick around, wait till the next batter comes up to bat, and react to the plays after that. So make sure as a coach, you know at third base beforehand what you want your runner to do, know the situation of the game, know what your runners can do, know what the defense is given to you, know what the pitcher's capable of doing, know what your hitter's capable of doing. It's really important to make sure you know these things when a runner comes to third base. Another play at third base that you can use is a safety squeeze in the squeeze play. We're going to have a runner at third base, and for the squeeze play, as soon as the ball is released from the pitcher's hand, she's going to get a good jump off the base, and she's going to steal home. The batter has to make sure they square around, get in good position here, just like a sacrifice bunt. Their goal is to bunt the ball, put it in play as this runner is coming home and try to score that run. As a hitter, you want to really make sure that you make contact with that ball no matter where it's pitched. It could be a pitch over your head, could be a pitch in the dirt, but you don't want to leave this runner out to dry. They made that commitment to go to home plate. They're trying to score. They're kind of left out in the open, so you really want to make sure that you do whatever you can to bunt that ball. If it's a foul tip, that's fine. You get the play back over again. If you swing and miss, then that person's going to be hung out to dry. They're probably going to be caught stealing at home. But as a hitter, you really want to make sure wherever the ball is pitched, you want to do what you can to bunt the ball. On a safety squeeze, you have a little bit different variation. Now what the batter is going to do is they're going to turn around, they're going to bunt the ball. The defense is going to react to the bunt, possibly looking for the squeeze play. Now the person on third really has to be smart and know what they're going to do with that play. If I'm bunting the ball, I'm going to bunt the ball, put it in play. Now the runner on third, she's going to get a good jump off the base. Just kind of jump a little bit out here. She's going to watch the play developing in front of her. She does not have to go home at this time. She's going to wait and see, and she's going to make a decision to either throw the ball. When the defense makes that throw to first base, she can leave. As soon as that ball is released from the defensive player to first base, she can take off towards home plate. Or if she would like, she can wait until the throw is all the way to first base, and then she can take off once the play has been released, because the defense might be caught off guard and not know what this runner is going to do. So the person on third base really has to be smart, and the third base coach has to talk with them quite a bit to make sure that they know what is going on in that situation. For the hitter, on the safety squeeze, if you happen not to hit the ball, if it gets by you, or if it's a foul tip, it's the same thing as before. Now you're not losing anything with anybody caught out to dry and getting caught at home plate. The play is going to start over again. You might have another strike on you, or you might have a ball or the next pitch that happened, but nothing's going to be hurt. You're not going to lose this runner at third base. So practice as much as you can the squeeze play in practice. If you want to talk to your team about the safety squeeze, it's another play just to make it a little bit safer side, but make sure that you're on the same page. Sometimes coaches like to have the hitter and the batter kind of do a little sign, maybe like rub the bat like this, or just kind of hit the top of their helmet to signal that they know the play is going on. That's going to be up to the discretion of the coach and the players of what you'd like to do in those situations. But make sure the communication between the coach, the runner, and the hitter are all on the same page. Go with what you feel is right. Think the situation out and don't second guess yourself. If you have practice situations, your players will come through. Be aggressive and always look to take the extra base. Good luck.